Hello and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the price action for some of the Bitcoin mining stocks, seeing where they are macro value wise. So, because they are stocks, let's start off with fear and greed. And for the first time in a while, we have seen the fear and greed index for stocks up in the greed. As you can see, a month ago, it was all the way down in extreme fear. And then climbing up through fear, we got a little bit of neutrality, but it really jumped off. So in a few days, when I do my stock market video, we'll take a look at to why that is and what's going on behind the scenes. But going over to crypto fear and greed, you can see crypto fear and greed also up in high neutrality, low greed as well. And overall, what I've been sort of contemplating is that even with this move up, you cannot help but see this trend all the way from November 24 that we do have these lower highs. Not that this can't bust up, but it almost seems like it has to retest in the downward direction one more time. We have been seeing markets move up for a little bit here, so maybe a standard pullback before then going up higher. Of course, taking a look at the overall seasonality of crypto, we see that April, thankfully, was positive after a negative February and March. And we've seen this in the past that April and May tend to be pretty good. What remains to be seen is whether or not the summer is good. From June to September, you can see the summer kind of sucks. However, if we take a look at the times preceding alt seasons, so alt season was here in April 21, you can see that the year leading up to it was overall pretty good. Even the summer wasn't that bad. And in 2017, this whole year, the summer was not that bad. Yeah, we had a negative month here or there, but overall pretty good. So I'm wondering if we'll see some things act a little bit differently this year if we are to see a completion of what I talked about yesterday in my video, how we get these 4 year cycles, market cycles in crypto. So just something to keep an eye on. Taking a look over at Bitcoin, let's check that. We have the S&P right there. With Bitcoin, something I talked about yesterday is that we have this 618 fib when we draw from the recent high to low. And right now in the weekly, it's closing underneath that. So that's why I'm expecting a pullback, maybe somewhere into the 80K region. However, when we take a look at the daily time frame, the daily is still holding up above the 618. So the weekly showing all this is just a wick. But if we can see the daily stay up here, that'll pull the weekly on up. So do keep that in mind. All right, let's get over to our mining stocks. And let's start off with the number one miner, and that is Marathon Digital Holdings. And we're in the daily right now. So zooming out, we can see it had a nice bounce here off the 382. As far as the daily moving averages, it tried to take that 50-day moving average, but as it got kind of close to the 100 moving average, came back down, lost the 50, and now it's coming down a little bit further. So, yeah, right there, not as promising. I wonder if we take our fib from our recent high to low, if anything shows up. Let's make sure our fib is everything nice and good on it. All right, as we zoom in here, yeah, that move up. If we draw from high to low, you can see it came back down and it's testing that 236 fib, that micro fib from the most recent highs and lows. So probably why we're getting a little bit of a bounce there. Something I contemplated with Mara and some other miners or even cryptos. I cannot help but think this is kind of looking like maybe setting up a head and shoulders, which can then pop off. And the move of that head and shoulders would take us somewhere around that $20 range if you believe in the head and shoulders stuff. I'm not saying I do all the time, but I kind of take the shapes with a grain of salt, but maybe something like that is appearing. Cannot help but see that, that would be sort of a head pattern in a inverse head and shoulder. So maybe we'll see. Let's take a look at the weekly. As far as the weekly goes, let's actually want to get rid of that fib. There's too much going on here. As far as the weekly goes, you can see that we have all those moving averages and the 0.5 fib all as resistance right there. So breaking through the $16 to $17 range would be very important. After these 3 weeks up, we are just getting a little bit of a pullback down, but then I would not doubt is after this little pullback, maybe we see a little bit of a test here at the point 0.5, kind of do a 5 wave pattern, if you will, and then who knows? See what happens there around the trend line from all the lower highs. Breaking through that would be huge. All right, let's go over to Riot, the number 2 Bitcoin mining stock. And by the way, if you're big into these Bitcoin miners and you're looking to take profits, this is part of my plan, is taking profits when we do get these alt seasons that are near these tops. You got to ask yourself, where do you see the market cap of these going? Well, have you know that last cycle, the market caps of the top miners got between 20 and 30 billion. So if that happened again or about the same, we're talking about a 5 to 6x here. Or for Riot, could it do somewhere around a 10x? However, I will say, remember, we had inflation since the last cycle. Our dollars since the last cycle are worth 25% less. So not be surprised to see things go higher, and the overall trend for these in each cycle has gone higher too. So I'm not eyeing 20 to 30 billion this time around. I'm looking more 30 to 50, maybe even upwards of 60 billion. Who knows? Maybe one of them could really pop off to 100. Wouldn't that be amazing to see? We see worthless stuff like Doge do it, so you never know. But just something to keep in mind. What are your market cap targets? As we get lower, of course, I would be eyeing more the 10 to 20 billion. But for some of these big ones, I have some higher expectations. But comment below. Tell me if you think that's pretty stupid to expect some of these miners like Mare or Riot to be in the 30 to $50 billion range. Anyways, let's get to Riot right there. And it has been in this descending channel, or some people like to call a bull flag. And when it got down to the 236, see it had a little nice bounce up. And what else is nice about it is it didn't retest the channel quite. It didn't lose the 236 and retest the channel. So to me, that is promising. We are seeing, as we get these waves up here, we are seeing that the 50-day did get rejected. So it is possible that, with these series of higher lows, that, maybe it gets, I wouldn't quite be calling for the 236 again, but maybe somewhere in the lower $7 range. If we just draw kind of a trend line of, where this is going, we might be, yeah, I'd say maybe a pullback to where that 20-day moving average is at around $7.50 would be an area I'm watching for. Other indicators, by the way, that I haven't done yet, but I like to use are the MACD, which is right here. And like Bitcoin, these are getting ready to flip positive. Hopefully, it could always do one of these guys here where it sort of flips positive and comes back down. Do keep that in mind. No indicator is perfect, but the MACD flipping positive usually is a pretty good thing. In the stochastic RSI in the weekly, flipping positive into the shaded area as well. So we did get some recent, I'll take those off for the rest of the video, but we have been getting recent buy signals, and you can see big buy signal right there. We're within the range of that candle. So, I'd say Riot within this territory. I like Riot at a discount if it's within the $6 or $7 territory. That's just me. So we have a little bit more confirmation. If you didn't get the bottom, you're like, oh man, I didn't get it. This is what goes through my brain, by the way. I'm like, man, I didn't get it at $6.20. It's okay. We don't have to eat 100% of the profit sandwich. It's impossible to do. It's okay to eat 80% of the profit sandwich. So I try to remind myself of that when that greed starts seeping in. Let's go to CleanSpark, CLSK. And with CleanSpark, rejection here. So it did get to this, what is that, the 0.5 fib in a descending channel, bull flag, if you want to call it that. Did get to that 0.5 fib, came back down to the 10-day moving average. So the 0.5 fib, and you can also see the wicks here that got up to the 20-day moving average. We have an EMA and an SMA here. One comes with the buy signal with these green and red dots. And so, yeah, I'd say this whole area, 913, 865, kind of resistance, but getting support here. So if you do like CleanSpark, I don't think it's a bad area the dollar cost average in. I kind of like Clean Spark and Riot and even Mara. As I'm taking a look, I have a monthly budget. This is my plan, not your financial plan. I have a monthly budget. I don't mind getting Riot and Clean Spark where they're at, and even Mara probably sometime soon. If it does, if Mara comes down to that in the $12 range, probably Mara as well. All right, let's take a look at cores. I kind of give cores a hard time because its balance sheet isn't the best. And by the way, I look at balance sheet data here at MarketWatch. You can type in any of these miners and you get a competitive advantage, which is great. We don't get this with altcoins. However, miners behave like altcoins. And so it's nice to have this competitive advantage. Take a look at the cash flow, the asset to liability ratio. Cores has a negative asset to liability ratio. I'll show you so you don't have to trust me, bro, on this. So Core Scientific, let's load this up. And, I think this is good to do for any stocks, just at a glance. And keep in mind when it comes to, we don't want to go to charts, we want to go to financials. When it comes to, oh gosh, I clicked the wrong button. No, I'm in the wrong place. Give me a second here. When when it comes to balance sheets, if it has a negative asset to liability ratio, I've pretty much always seen those do even worse in pullbacks and recessionary environments. And so, do keep that in mind. If you want to go deeper down the rabbit hole, you can take a look at the flow. Those stocks, the low flow stocks, can really pop off. But yeah, just taking a look at cores here. Assets around 100 million, total assets 700 million, but then you see the liabilities, a lot lower. So very negative as far as overlook, and it's the number three miner. So I'm not touching it in case a pullback were to continue. You can see, it got all the way up to 19 and came down to 7. So quite a pullback. But either way, let's just take a look at the chart. Nice move up here to the 50-day and the 382. Let me get some coffee. And the 382. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback, maybe somewhere in the low $8 range. If you like some cores in that area, I don't think it would be that bad of a price. All right, let's take a look at, we'll do a couple more. I'll do the ones that I see you guys comment on. Iron, Wolf, Cypher. We'll call it there. Iron, Wolf, and Cypher. By the way, hope you all are having a great week. So thanks for coming by and watching today. Iron, so it's taken back the 20-day moving averages. And, I think this is one of the things. You can throw all the technical analysis out the window. Sometimes one of the easiest questions I ask myself, where is it within the last year? Is it within the range of the lows in the last year? And it definitely is. So sometimes, if I like a stock, and I see it within the range of the lows from the last year, 5 years, whatever, I don't mind taking a stab at it. Had a nice bounce off that 0.5. Let's see if we have confirmation. Not really confirmation yet, but it is making higher lows. So, I don't hate iron here as well. I think iron's even a fine play too. Let's take a look at Wolf and Cypher. Even though it has a sell signal, I do like that. Wolf, so this is an ascending channel. Some people call this a bull flag. So if you believe in a bear flag. So if you believe in that, you might be worried about it losing this channel here. But, this is really just behaving like a lot of the other miners, really. So we have these recent higher lows here. It's sitting at the 382. So that's good. It retook the 382 after getting up to $9, lost 2/3 of its value. And, you could have got it at 2.25, but it's at $3 now. I don't mind Wolf here. If I ever did lose this channel, then, I'd be looking at that $1.51 to be clear. And then what was the last one? Cypher? Yeah, Cypher Mining. So Cypher Mining, we had an ascending channel there. But as you can see here, it definitely got underneath it. So we had these higher lows and then it broke under. So that's where it found its recent low. It's had a nice strong move up all the way to the 50-day moving average. Okay. I do wonder. So, yesterday's video, I said how the charts to me are almost looking micro bearish, but macro bullish. I do wonder if we did get a decent pullback. I would not be surprised to see some of these fibs that these miners have gotten extended from sort of get re-tagged again. So, you know, this one moved a little bit faster than the others, but maybe it'll come back down to that 250 range. And if so, you can see it really loves that zero point 0.5 fib at around 250. So I'd be willing to be patient on this one. But there's some other ones. I think like um, Iron, Riot. As far as what I'm liking value wise, Iron, Riot, and well, and Cipher, right? Iron, Riot, and Cipher, or no, Clean Spark. Iron, Riot, and Clean Spark are the three I'm looking at. Um, I will say here that, yeah, this almost looks like, so we had, I'm just drawing this out, I'm thinking out loud here. Yeah, once it lost that trend line, boom. So, we don't have as much confirmation in iron quite yet. This one, taking a look at it a little closer. I might wait to see if it retests that zero point 0.5 fib and maybe take a dollar cost average at it. But I would not be shocked if this one did come a little bit lower for iron. So, yeah, the ones I do like a bit more, I think after taking a look at that, probably Riot and Clean Spark, which makes sense. They're the top altcoins, the top miners, so they're going to perform a bit better and hold up their strength better. The lower cap ones, when they fall hard. But if you believe in them, if you like the research, you can get some massive profits by alt season. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.